old, had her jaw broken. It was wired shut for days. She was in the hospital for 7 days recovering. Now, that is an important part to recognize, right? That is a very, unfortunately, a common experience for some trans people. That type of violence, right? Dismemberment, awful things. Now, where it gets very interesting is that the city of Los Angeles actually announced a $25,000 reward for information leading to information regarding this beating, specifically the people. There was some video caught.
Right.
$25,000. So in one way it says it's the city's way of saying, oh, we validate this. We're going to pay money to catch these people. Now,
that's a huge chunk of money.
it is. It's a huge chunk of money. And I admittedly operate from the perspective of not being one for hate crime legislation. Now, and I want to clarify this, right? I don't think that, of course, hate needs to go away. Absolutely. I struggle with how we use the same system of violence that's trying to stop violence. And this is where I struggle. It's paying money to catch a person so that they can be caught in a system of violence themselves. And it's not saying that I feel bad for this person, it's that all of these folks are humans. And I don't know what that teaches about transphobia. What this does teach is we'll pay you money if you can give us this person, then we can lock them away for a very long time.
You know, here at Beyond the Binary, we really like to dialogue about issues. We really think that that's the productive way to go, but a lot of the dialogue just gets kind of shoved under a rug. Like, we just don't even get to even, hear about it anymore once things like this are...
Well, and recently, I mean, someone was in fact arrested as one of the alleged assaulters. I think this lead person, his name is Nicole Shakhnazarian.
Okay.
And a 21-year-old Los Angeles man, and he's being currently held in custody, and his bail is set at $1.05 million. So this person's stuck in this system, and it makes me so sad for his future too, at the same time. And it makes me think, well, where's going to be the public dialogue about how transphobia functions, how hate operates? It's not there.
We see... We think people who are transphobic are just really victim to the system, really.
Well, they're acting out specifically what they're being told to do.
It's sympathy for everyone in this horrible situation where someone gets attacked. Yeah.
Why reify the same system? I mean, not to mention the fact that when we talk about hate crime legislation, those who are going to be disproportionately affected by this, not those necessarily afflicting the hate crimes or enacting the hate crimes, but those who are most vulnerable to intervention by police and legislation are going to be poor people and people of color.
Right.
And this means that we're going to have a disproportionate amount of people that are going to be alleged to be engaging in these hate crimes, or at least caught more frequently than non-white and maybe even middle class perpetrators of hate as well.
Sure.
And so it's perpetuating the same system of violence against populations that are already vulnerable, including the queer populations, specifically trans people who are victims of this hate, right? And that's what I struggle with. And this actually connects us to a dialogue we were Aaron and I actually have been having this dialogue on and on about Miss Paula Deen and the issues going on with Miss Paula Deen regarding her being fired from the Food Network. And it's difficult because on one end we have folks who are like, yes, no more work for Paula Deen. Not like she needs it. I'm sure she's got tons of money. She's fine. But what does that do to engage in critical race-conscious dialogue in this country?
What does it do?
All it does is teaches us what? It teaches us...
punishment for the words. Punishment for what she said.
Right.
I don't... it's not actually talking about how she's... what she's perpetuating in a system, of how to be racist now, or how to be transphobic now, or, that's, it's just a kind of...
Well, and I think the thing for me is that it really kind of teaches folks that if you're going to be or first off, that racism is located, or hate in any way, right, is located in a word, or a thing you do, like it's this thing, I said this word, therefore I am racist. As opposed to, no, that's part of a larger system that's constantly going forward with or without you. The thing is that you're already part of it. So when I say with or without you, it means it's still with you. Sometimes you're just unaware that you're moving it forward too. And I think that what firing her does is it perpetuates the same system of hate and white supremacy that it's attempting to challenge. And what I mean by that is it perpetuates it by saying, don't say it out loud, Just be more.
Well, white
covert
supremacy
about it.
is a monster. It, you know, I think it's figured out different ways to, to of course, be extremely racist without being blatant. And Paula Deen broke those rules, so white supremacy has to hide her.
Right, absolutely. So that it can keep functioning. In a new word again in the Oxford English Dictionary is post-racial. This is where we're at, right? It's this notion that we're post-racial. Paula Deen is so backwards because she's still using this dated racist language. Get with the times, Paula. There's different ways to be racist, and she's just not playing it right.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I don't like that.
She was rather blatant.
And I can appreciate that only because it allows us the space to engage in these dialogues. We can say, whoa,
Poor
what's
Paula.
going on there?
Poor Paula was so sorry.
Yeah, right.
She made a few videos just apologizing.
She was so sorry.
Oh, she was so sorry.
What is an old plantation owner to do? All right, let's go to move on to Coy Mathis.
Oh, this is fun news.
Yeah.
You know, putting aside of the tragedy. We have Coy Mathis here, who is a Colorado transgender first grader who wins civil rights case.
Wait,
okay.
how old is Coy?
6 years old.
6 years
right.
old!
And Coy was barred from using the girls' bathroom at Eagleside Elementary School in Fountain. Yes, so so she won this case, and this is really cute and adorable, has her little smiling face. You can find her. I mean, there's tons of ways to look at this where it's like, oh shoot, you know, we really have to make these young trans kids visible in the media, and you know, that kind of puts them at all sorts of risk. But that aside, this is great. This is great news for her and for all trans kids, you know. Just
well, I'm wondering how much of this, however, is Coy, and how much of this is Coy's parents.
Sure, you know. What do you mean? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, I mean, I doubt that the 6-year-old said, I'm taking this to the Supreme Court.
Sure.
I think that this is the parent fighting on behalf of Coy, and I'm wondering how much of this actually puts Coy in such a public light that maybe this could also inadvertently harm Coy.
I have a statement by Coy's mother.
Go ahead.
Who says, all we ever wanted was for Coy's school to treat her the same as other little girls. We are extremely happy that she now will be treated equally. And of course, we don't know if that's completely true, but at least as far as using the restroom.
Well, see, and that's this is again going back to even this other dialogue about legislating, making rules and enforcing them from on high.
Yeah, I mean, she's still probably going to receive a lot of bullying, especially since it's becoming an issue. You know, and any kids that are put in the limelight like this, under the microscope, it's kind of. I just don't like to see it. It's like, it's bittersweet. It is very bittersweet.
I want to acknowledge it as a win.
Right.
I think this is great, but you know, I feel like I'm caught in this double-edged space of, yes, that's important, absolutely.
But she's 6 years old. She doesn't understand what just happened.
Well,
I think she was just excited that she could go back to school.
Sure, but I also feel like while that's important, it's also, again, just like Paula Deen, this Nicole who's being arrested for the violence against Vivian, that in this same instance, again, this court case does nothing to teach kids about transphobia.
This is just one case, too. You're right.
Right.
I think that's
like,
the
I feel
biggest,
like those dialogues need to be important. Like, why
this
is it wrong to tell someone no?
Right.
Don't use that restroom. Why is that wrong? As opposed to, no, just do it.
Yeah, and what is it?
Now it's a rule.
You know, it's like the kid holding their bladder.
Yeah.
It's like, it's psychological, it's kind of scary.
And the interesting thing about this is, and this is where kids are phenomenal to me, I wonder how many of these 6-year-olds actually cared. So much as the teachers. Like, this was the teachers, which really points to teaching in this district, wherever this is, that needs training. This isn't training, this is legislating a shift, as opposed to say, which again encourages, let's find other ways to be transphobic.
Yeah.
Because the attitudes don't change. But this is the double-edged sword. There's also the argument that can be made, because this restroom is now, because of this legislation, eventually people will treat trans people normal, eventually. But I feel like part of that needs to be pushed forward with training and dialogue and critical discourse.
I can't get over like how strong this little girl is.
Yeah.
She's only 6 years old. And it's hard enough being young and trans. I know that firsthand.
Sure.
She's transitioning so young. There's more awareness going on now, but it is still scary. She doesn't know anything about what's going on with her. This is all very, very frightening, I'm sure, for her.
Oh. Well, we're going to go ahead and play another Alex Davis song real quick, and then we'll move on to the final stories. Is that cool?
With that phone ringing. Let's do that.
Okay.
That was a really awkward transition, Benny.
I don't know what to do with the phone.
She answered it.
Are you mad?
It was just an awkward transition. I'm not mad.
I don't know what to do. Do you want to go back to Coy? You were silent too. I didn't know what to say.
Well, because I said something and I was waiting for your response.
Oh, say it again. I didn't hear that.
I said, I was just talking more about how Coy is so strong and you were just like, oh.
You're mad at me.
It was awkward.
You're mad at me. I can call myself out when the air goes back. We'll go back on air, okay?
Oh, I need to soak my nose.
That's weird when the phone rings. Okay.
'There's something funny to say about you on the air.
You have something funny to say? What are you gonna say? Oh man. I guess as long as you ain't cursing, it's fine.
What the curse?
So up next we have the Upstairs Lounge, and then Fox News.
Okay.
And we have 15 minutes, so we're good.
Okay.
But before we can get into these two, these won't take too long. Say whatever you're gonna say and return to Coy for a minute, and I'll apologize. Like, hey, I got sidetracked with the phone apparently. We're the new kids. $40. 30.
Not to say I'd leave, not to say I'd leave you alone, but you know I feel,
17.
yeah, you know I feel about going.
That was another great song by the Alex Davis. LuckyAlex.com. Remember, check out the full interview on our YouTube channel as well, and you can find all that information on our Facebook.
Wait, we have a
/
YouTube and a Facebook?
We do.
What?
Facebook / Beyond the Binary.
Beyond the binary.
I have this thing to say about Benny real quick.
Uh-oh.
Because if you can see, that was kind of an awkward transition into the music. Benny here plans the whole show down to the wire. And this is a thing I know about Benny being my partner, is that Benny needs everything to be planned accordingly. Like, me and Benny plan this whole show from start to finish for Benny's, for Benny's sake. Because Benny is a very plan-oriented individual. And if something interrupts that plan, Benny doesn't know what to do.
Nope.
Like, the phone rang, and the look on Benny's face was just shock, helplessness, complete just Denny didn't know what was going on and just was like, let's switch to music now. It was
That was the next thing on the agenda. You don't understand.
It was adorable, but yeah, let's return to Coy.
Okay. Apparently we were done. My bad.
We weren't done. That was really funny. It was really funny.
Okay, so you asked me something apparently.
I didn't. I just wanted your reaction, but the phone rang.
About Coy, about her,
forgot what was going on.
about her being strong.
I was talking about Coy just being very strong about
Sure.
the whole situation, and of course, I'll just remind everyone, Coy Mathis is a Colorado trans first grader who won a civil rights case against her needing to use a restroom,
Yeah.
the women's appropriate restroom at her school, just 6 years old, just put under the microscope like this. So it's bittersweet. We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
We have, I think, 15 minutes left. So
12 minutes.
12 minutes. We're going to wrap this up with a bunch of other exciting news.
We have at least two larger points real quick and some general side contact, but yeah?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, this is some heavy news. Yesterday was a day of remembrance.
Let's go back.
Another part or component of this show that Aaron and I are really moving towards is really marking days in queer history. This is queer writ large. We're talking LGBT IQ based politics in history. Because no matter, at least in my perspective, no matter where one is in the alphabet soup, gender plays such a key role about how one enacts proper gender. And so for me, I also feel that gender variance plays into proper performances in terms of gay being not proper or lesbian being not proper, and how this opens a space for us to bridge with queer politics overall, right?
Yeah.
And so that being said, yesterday was the anniversary of the arson attack of the Upstairs Lounge. And so I want to take a moment to kind of remember and to talk about the Upstairs Lounge in New Orleans. So 40 years ago, or June 24th, 1973 was a Sunday. This was in New Orleans, and it was a bar that was upstairs. Now, this was just, I believe it was the last day of National Pride Weekend, as well as the 4th anniversary of 1969's Stonewall Uprising. Now, the Upstairs Lounge was located at the corner of Iberville and Chartres Street, and was called again the Upstairs Lounge. That Sunday, dozens of members of the Metropolitan Community Church, or the MCC, which is a large gay-based Christian church that was founded in 1969 in Los Angeles. These folks got together in New Orleans for drinks and conversation. And essentially, as they were there, I'll read the document that I have here. Just before 8 p.m., the doorbell rang insistently. To answer it, you had to unlock a steel door that opened into a flight of stairs leading down to the ground floor. Bartender Buddy Rasmussen, expecting a taxi driver, asked his friend Luther Boggs to let the man in. Perhaps Boggs, after he pulled the door open, had just enough time to smell the Ronsonol lighter fluid that the attacker of the Upstairs Lounge had sprayed on the steps. In the next instant, he found himself in unimaginable pain as the fireball exploded, pushing upward and into the bar. The ensuing 15 minutes were the most horrific that any of the 65 or so customers had ever endured, full of flames, smoke, panic, breaking glass, and screams. Ultimately, in the end, 32 people had lost their lives. The bar windows that were trying to keep people from falling out of the actual bar were 14 inches apart, and a few patrons actually squeezed their bodies through. Some of them were actually stuck, and there's one gruesome picture of a burned alive patron that is stuck in the window and died that way. Arguably the pastor of the MCC, I believe, specifically. But again, 32 people lost their lives, marking it the deadliest fire in New Orleans history and the largest massacre of gay people ever in the U.S. is documented, at least in the report that I have here.
Wow.
So I kind of remember that June 24th is the anniversary of the Upstairs Lounge massacre and arson attack, and I feel like that's an important thing in our history to collectively recognize about where we've been at, where we're going, and sometimes where we still are.
Where we still are is
Yeah.
definitely, yeah.
So let's go and switch gears to Fox.
Okay. All right, well, Fox News coverage of transgender community challenged by an equality group,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Our hope is that Fox will recognize that mocking and smearing an entire population of people isn't news, it's bigotry.
Yes.
He wrote in an email, a serious outlet should strive to provide accurate, respectful, and fact-based information about the experiences of transgender people, rather than resorting to peddling horror stories that facilitate further discrimination against an already marginalized group.
So essentially what's
That's
happening,
a great quote.
yeah, so what's really happening here is this new group called Equality Matters is pulling on a whole pool of data and really trying to mark and track the way that Fox News has depicted trans people in terms of news coverage, and really trying to, as opposed to just isolated allegations, really trying to show that this is a routine thing that has been going on at Fox News in the way that they tend to depict trans people.
Right, and we're not naive. This is never been a credible news source. Like, I don't want to be, that harsh, but to still be harsh, Fox is not known for having inclusive news. We know that.
Right.
And I'm sure everybody's quite aware that Fox News is controversial and doesn't really, isn't really that respectful in general when it comes to covering many stories. But when it comes to how they're perpetuating sort of violence against trans people, it's really bad. It's where we have to say something. It's where the bullies are getting a bit too violent. We have to sort of separate them.
Yeah.
So.
And some of the that actually marks some of the more recent samples or examples here. So can I read those? Is that cool?
I'll go for it.
Earlier this month, Fox News reporter Todd Starnes went on a rant when describing the horror of a Nashville restaurant allowing a transgender woman to use a ladies' room.
Right, I mean, this whole restroom stuff, it's always going to be such a problem.
Right, and so this particular reporter went on a public rant on the air about this.
Right.
Similarly, in March, Fox News contributor Stephen Croder published a transphobic piece about mixed martial arts fighter Fallon Fox, calling her a male and discussing her having testicles. Like,
it's horrible.
what?
It's horrible because this is stuff that really contributes to violence against trans folks. And
right.
people, and they just don't know what they're talking about, frankly.
Again, this is part of this larger system of how
Yeah.
we need to be educating on this broader spectrum. It's not just about one incident. Like, these people are not incident. This is part of a larger system that's being perpetuated.
We have to remember that. We can't just blame Fox News. We can't put the blame on really anyone. We have to really talk about the system. It's hard not to want to do that, because anyone in their right mind should not be perpetuating such violence, it's such common sense. But of course they have no fear in doing so, because trans people are easy to attack.
Well, yeah, because we're a vulnerable population in many ways, right?
Yeah.
We don't have also many trans people that are in the public eye, particularly as news reporters, that can do this type of checking. And I think Equality Matters is going to be doing some of this work. And I have one more here that's kind of connected to something, actually two more incidences on Fox, but one of which is connected to what we recently talked about at University of Illinois.
Okay.
In addition, GLAAD spoke out against Fox News back in February after the network bashed Brown University for including sex reassignment surgeries under its healthcare policy for trans students. In 2011, Fox told parents not to let their kids watch Dancing with the Stars because Chaz Bono was competing. I remember that. And
I remember that too. I remember all of these
there was
stories.
an expert, quote unquote, on Fox that said if your children watch it, they'll become trans.
I remember that the doctor. It was a doctor. It was a doctor who.
And I believe it was a doctor with NARTH, which is the same organization that works towards reparative therapy.
Yeah.
Which I guess we should mention. Actually, that's important because this also pertains to trans people. Exodus International.
Yeah.
And I don't have any of the specific news sources on me today, but this is something that I research and am very interested in, very personally, deeply about. But Exodus International, the kind of flagship organization for conversion therapy of LGBT bodies, has closed its doors and apologized. Now, I'm still watching this organization. I'm not fully convinced that they've actually closed their doors. I am convinced that they're finding new ways to get their message out.
You think so?
I am, and I'm waiting to see what that looks like. Now, some of the stuff coming out about post-Christian is one way it's been framed by some of these organizations, as well as moving towards a more missionary-based as opposed to evangelical stance. I don't know what that means, but we're going to wait and have to see, basically. what all of this really kind of stands for. So.
Right. But that is big news.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like we're at the end of our time here with 3 minutes left.
That was our first full
First full
hour
hour.
show. How wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, I thank you for tuning in. Of course, you did. Yeah.
What's our Facebook?
Our Facebook is facebook.com/Beyond the Binary. Please check it out. You can, of course, give us some feedback. You can do whatever you want.
We welcome most of the feedback.
We welcome any feedback.
If you have, as I used to say when I worked at Disneyland,
Yeah.
if you have compliments, please be sure to tell me. If you have anything bad to say, take it home to your cat. I'm sure he or she would love to hear it.
That's funny. Yes.
Well, we thank you all very much,
Yeah,
and
this
have a
is-
great day, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
All right. Bye, folks.